Brian Norman Jr. and Brian Norman Sr. called back at Jaron Ennis for a false accusation of ducking. The ongoing negotiations for a unification bout between WBO welterweight champion Brian Norman Jr. and IBF champion Jaron "Boots" Ennis have hit a snag. It all started when Jaron "Boots" Ennis publicly stated that Brian Norman's team had said no to his fight offer. Ennis stated that an offer had been sent, but they got a negative response from them.
I heard somebody sent me one where he said he'll fight me at home too. We sent offer 2 days ago. Turned it down.
Jaron Ennis conveyed his intense commitment to rising to the top of the welterweight division, underscoring his desire to avoid any fights that do not advance his career toward this goal. Focused squarely on acquiring all major championship belts, his ambition is clear and unyielding. Ennis stated, "I don't care, like I said, I just want to collect these belts, and I keep saying I'm just frustrated. I don't want to have any backward fights. My whole thing is just to be undisputed and collect these belts. My mindset is focused on WBC, WBO, and WBA." Continuing his thought, Ennis elaborated on his drive to secure every significant title in his division, including the Ring Magazine belt, symbolizing his aspiration to be recognized as the undisputed welterweight champion of the world. He added, "I want to collect these belts in all magazines. I want to be undisputed." He made it clear that he now has this laser-focused approach to his career, highlighting his frustration with any obstacles that delay his progress toward complete dominance in his category. Jaron Ennis is actively pursuing a path to unify the welterweight division, making it clear that he's reached out to other title holders such as Barros, Brian Norman, and Stanionis to set up potential unification bouts. Ennis has made it known that he has done everything within his power to facilitate these fights, emphasizing that any delays or obstacles are no longer within his control, but in the hands of the other fighters and their teams. He underscored his dedication to the sport and his division by stating that his primary goal is to collect all the belts, indicating a readiness to either host challengers or pursue them himself to achieve his ambition of undisputed status.
I did all I could, to make these fights happen, and I'm just, I put it in those guys' hands now. It's not, first of all, it's not even up to the promoters. It's up to us. I want these fights. I'm trying to collect these belts. I'm down here for one thing and one thing only, is to be undisputed, collect all the belts. I'm not worrying about nothing else. So whoever got them belts, they got to come see me, or we coming to see you. I'm coming to take them belts and be undisputed.
Recently, Matchroom Boxing called out Brian Norman Jr. on X for a fight, which was part of a broader conversation involving offers supposedly sent to several fighters, including Stanionis. Ennis mentioned that he had extended fight offers to multiple champions, including Stanionis, which the latter has categorically denied. In a tweet, Stanionis clarified his position, asserting no such offers were communicated to him or his team, and he emphasized that he had previously agreed to similar fights 2 years ago. He tweeted, "I spoke with my advisor and nobody reached out to us. Stop that bullshit. I accepted the fight 2 years ago twice." Eimantas Stanionis, hailing from Lithuania, has firmly established himself as a prominent contender in the welterweight division. As of now, he holds the WBA regular welterweight title, a testament to his prowess and skill in the ring. With a professional record that boasts an impressive slate of victories, including 15 wins with 9 by knockout and no losses, Stanionis has demonstrated both power and technical finesse. In response to Eimantas Stanionis' denial of receiving fight offers, Eddie Hearn countered via Twitter, suggesting a miscommunication might have occurred within Stanionis' team. Hearn's tweet implies that an offer was indeed made recently, urging Stanionis to verify the details again with his team. Eddie Hearn tweeted, "You better check again 2 days ago, Wednesday." Eimantas Stanionis responded, with a hint of sarcasm to Eddie Hearn's insistence that an offer was made, suggesting the financial terms were inadequate. He humorously remarked that his advisor doesn't handle trivial amounts, likening them to rubles, and implied that the offer wasn't serious enough to be considered. Stanionis tweeted, "My advisor doesn't deal with rubles, make a real offer. This is why I didn't even hear about it." Eddie Hearn responded to Eimantas Stanionis' comments with a mix of confusion and clarification, addressing the claim that no one had reached out to Stanionis or his team. Hearn expressed his bewilderment over being called a liar and reiterated his interest in organizing a unification fight, pointing out that while Shakram Giyasov is Stanionis' mandatory opponent, he is still very much interested in pursuing a unification bout. Hearn tweeted, "I'm confused. You called me a liar and said no one reached out to you or your team. Gyasov is your mandatory, but we'd love to make the unification also. Eddie Hearn of Matchroom Boxing is pushing for this fight as part of his plan to position Ennis for a shot at undisputed status at 147 lbs. Despite reaching out with offers to other champions like Mario Barrios and Imantas Stanionis, Hearn disclosed that these overtures have been rebuffed. Brian Norman Jr. was asked about the offer that Jaron Ennis accused them of turning down, and he denied it. Brian Norman Jr. detailed the sequence of events regarding the fight offer and his team's response. He clarified that they received the offer the same day he gave an interview, and they promptly sent a counteroffer back. Norman emphasized the confusion around whether the counteroffer was even received before any public comments about accepting or declining the fight were made.
All right, so the interview was done Tuesday, but we also got the offer on Tuesday and sent back our counter offer on Tuesday. So I don't even know if things are able to get that counter offer to even say I accept it or decline. First thing first is we did decline the fight. I mean, not decline, we did accept the fight.
Norman continued by describing an interaction between his father and Bozy Ennis, indicating that while their side was ready to proceed, it was Bozy who hesitated, suggesting they hold off the fight for a later date. This communication, according to Norman, points to a misunderstanding or miscommunication from the opposing camp. He said, "And my dad was trying to talk, but Bozy said no, we ain't trying to fight right now. We want to save that till undisputed. We want to save that till later on and stuff like that. So your daddy is the one who said no, not us. We said yes, we called your daddy and all that just to say yes." Norman concluded with a personal reflection on his reputation and readiness to fight, rejecting any notion that he was avoiding the confrontation. He reinforced his willingness to engage in the bout, highlighting his proactive approach to past encounters and his readiness to meet Ennis in his hometown if necessary.
And yes, I will come to Philly just for that fight. Don't forget, every time we ever encountered each other, I pulled up on y'all. So don't act like I'm no some Rudy Poo ass nigga. I ain't never been no bitch. You already know that for a fact. You feel me? So I'm always down for any fight. I'm always down for any occasion. And just like I said before, I'm always down to come to your hood and get this work in. So it never been that. I never been no bitch. Don't let this light skin shit fool you. I'm ready for all of that.
Norman Jr. clarified the timeline and nature of the negotiation process concerning the fight offer he received. He emphasized that everything unfolded very quickly on a Tuesday, underscoring the immediacy with which his team responded to the initial proposal. Despite the rapid exchange, Norman highlighted a miscommunication or misunderstanding that led to public claims of their refusal without acknowledging their counteroffer.
I believe that was on Tuesday. Literally on Tuesday, and we sent back a counteroffer. And then this popped up. I ain't even see it, but you and my dad just called me this morning about it. But and then this popped up. So we wasn't even, we can't even say we was even in negotiations because they automatically just saying we just said no. But we immediately sit back and counter offer and everything. We was down for the get around. You get what I'm saying?
Norman Jr. expressed his refusal to be intimidated by any posturing from the opposing side, dismissing any claims of superiority. He emphasized his unique identity and his refusal to conform or be subdued by others in the boxing industry. By dismissing any notions that he is lesser or subordinate in the face-off, Norman demonstrated his confidence and self-assurance. Norman stated, "He was talking like he's some kind of big dog or something like that, but I'm not going for that. There are a lot of people bowing down to him. I'm not one of them. I am myself. I am a Norman. I'm far from normal, so you ain't no big dog as long as I'm here." The situation between Brian Norman Jr. and Jaron Ennis has escalated, leading to verbal confrontations involving Norman Jr.'s father and manager, Brian Norman Sr. The tensions rose after statements made by Jaron Ennis about the negotiation process were publicly challenged. Norman Sr., taking a more direct role due to the intensifying dispute, has voiced strong objections to Ennis's claims. He clarified that no offer had been rejected from either side while praising his son for being the youngest world champion at 23 years.
And he was like, they turned it down. They turned it down. Nigga! No, we did not. Nigga, we were running with you in the alley. No, we ain't turning shit down. No smoke duck. We've told y'all that. You know, the fans can make up what they want to make up. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they better step. No smoke duck. Ain't no fucking narratives. Ain't no nothing. We want the fight. We want to fight the best. My son is the youngest champion in boxing today. This is another chance for him to be great. This is a chance for him to be a unified two-time world champion at 23 years old. That's huge. That's major. Why the fuck will we turn that that down. No, we want that.
Brian Norman Sr. addressed the complexities surrounding the negotiation process with Eddie Hearn and Matchroom Boxing regarding a potential fight. He described a scenario of immediate follow-up with Matchroom's legal team after Hearn's interview, seeking clarification on claims that they had declined 2 offers. This communication gap has led to public misunderstandings, with Ennis publicly stating that Norman rejected the fight offer. Norman Sr. explained, "I reached out to him after Eddie Hearn did his interview yesterday. We reached out immediately to Matchroom lawyers, the ones that sent the offer, and asked, what is this about us declining 2 offers? Matchroom Law comes back with, oh, we didn't realize you sent the counteroffer, which I find hard to believe because how can you say we declined anything? That means you never looked at the response to your offer." Norman Sr. elaborated on the response they received to their counteroffer and their efforts to negotiate reasonably. He expressed frustration over the lack of communication following their queries about Matchroom's final offer. He continued, "The first offer was ridiculous, but the second offer was close, and we can work with it a little bit. So we asked what your final offer is. There's been no response, nothing since then." Eddie Hearn said Brian Norman told him, "Me and my son told us to reach out to him soon so we can get this done. That's exactly what we did." In his conclusion, Norman Sr. emphasized the commitment to maintaining professional relations and clearing up any misunderstandings. He conveyed a desire to resolve the situation so that both parties could focus on what matters, making great fights for the fans. He stated, "It's been 7 days since the first contract was sent, so I know they work on Saturdays. Here it is 4 down the next Saturday, and we're waiting to see what happens. So again, that's all respect to Team Ennis. We just want the smoke in the ring. It ain't got nothing to do with anything personal." Norman Sr. further discussed the lack of response from Matchroom following their counteroffer and expressed suspicion about the silence, highlighting the need for transparency in negotiations. He continued, "Nobody has said a word. So if you can respond and say you didn't realize we sent the offer, then we ask you, okay, what is your counteroffer? But then we say, okay, what's your final offer? And you don't say anything at all. That sounds kind of fishy. So I reached out to Bozy, let him know what was going on, and I guess he's going to do whatever he does on his end, and we're going to do what we do on this end to make the best fights for the fans to see at 147. Meanwhile, the discourse between the camps continues, with Norman Sr. vocally pushing for a clearer negotiation path and stressing their willingness to engage in this pivotal battle. He expressed a defiant attitude towards the challenges and hostilities they have faced in various gyms across the country, emphasizing their resilience in the face of adversity. He described their experiences of being outnumbered and often unwelcomed while training or sparring in other cities.
And you said you are willing to travel to Philadelphia.
We going to Philadelphia. Every time we spar, we had the fucking gym against us. We just went to San Diego and had that whole situation against us. What was it, like 500,000 people there? We don't give a fuck. One boo is no different than 14,000 boos, 15,000 boos. It don't matter. One boo is no different than the rest. Me and my son been doing this all his life, all his boxing career. We've been going to other gyms. We've been beating people up. We've been goddamn getting booed. We get, you know what I'm saying? Even the cap about him, you know, even when he sparred C4 Quad. You know what I mean?
Brian Norman Sr. sharply criticized the career management of Boots, suggesting that Ennis has been overly protected and has not faced the same kind of adversities or challenges that his son has experienced throughout his career. Norman Sr. emphasized that their willingness to take chances by fighting tough opponents in unfamiliar settings demonstrates resilience and toughness he believes Ennis lacks. According to Norman Sr., Ennis has enjoyed the comfort of fighting predominantly on home turf, where the conditions are tailored to his advantage, contrasting significantly with the Norman's readiness to face hostile crowds and challenging conditions.
You have to see the shit we face when we go to these places. We built for this. Boots does everything at home. Boots got the shit. Boots sit in the comfort of his home. He don't go nowhere and spar. The sparring comes to Boots. Boots don't go nowhere and fight like that. You know what I mean? Every fight he ever had was less than 50-50 in his favor. You feel me? We don't mind taking them chances. He ain't built like we built, and we about to show him he ain't built like we built.
Brian Norman Sr. continued asserting that Ennis has consistently been matched in bouts where he was the clear favorite to win, a trend he anticipates will continue in a potential fight against his son. Norman Sr. conveyed a strong belief that despite the odds that might again favor Ennis, the outcome would be different this time around. Norman Sr. uses this narrative to set a motivational stage for his son, emphasizing the opportunity to defy expectations and make a significant mark in the boxing world by potentially defeating Ennis and moving towards unification of the welterweight titles at a young age.
You know what I mean? He just conquered that. Boots has never been in a fight that he wasn't supposed to win, including this fight here, including this fight with my son when they make this fight happen. he's going to be the favorite. They're going to say he's going to win. So including this fight, he's never been in a fight where he's supposed to lose or even got a good chance of losing. They're going to think he's going to win, but he's not. That's exactly what the fuck we're going to do. My boy, 23 years old. This is a chance for him to become a unified champion at 23 years old at fucking welterweight in this day and age against the phenom, the all great that they're giving him. And I don't see him. I see him as being a good fighter, but I mean, they gave him the great status way too early. He never did anything. It was all to the eye test. It's like me going outside, beating up on a motherfucking 7-year-old or playing basketball against a fucking 12-year-old. You know what I'm saying? Somebody that's not even on my level. So of course I could do amazing things. You know what I mean? But I also know is when they sparred, he made him be normal. I told you that before. He made it be normal. The very second time, he has not sparred him the same. The first time they sparred, he was extraordinary. From that point on, all the way till November last time they sparred.
Brian Norman Sr. expressed confidence in his son's abilities based on past experiences with shared sparring partners. He asserted that from these encounters, it became evident to him that Ennis does not hit harder than his son, a realization he claims to have made when his son was only 19 or 20 years old. He elaborated, "I'm positive he didn't hit harder than my son. That's from the sparring partners him and my son sparred. I noticed that immediately when he sparred with these people. Boots, I said it in public, he's a front runner, and Boots takes advantage of your lack thereof. So what he does is he gonna blast you out if you allow him to blast you out." Now, when the fight has been given hype by the back and forth between the management team after the Matchroom interview, Greg Hackett expressed enthusiasm for the potential fight between Ennis and Norman Jr., emphasizing the youthful energy and current career momentum of both fighters. He highlighted their ages and statuses as title holders, advocating for the match to happen sooner rather than later to capitalize on their prime conditions. Hackett stated, "It's a great fight. I like the fact that Boots is only 27 years old, and Brian Norman is 23 years old. They both hold titles, they're both young, and they're both energized. Get it while it's hot. I don't want to wait till Brian Norman is 30 and Boots is 34 and all that. I don't have time for that. Let's get it going now." Greg Hackett continued his commentary on the potential matchup, acknowledging Brian Norman Jr.'s toughness and grit as a fighter. He recognized Norman's determination and readiness to bring his best into the ring, but he also expressed skepticism about Norman's ability to overcome Ennis. Hackett added, "I think Norman is a tough guy, a gritty guy. We know that about him. We know he's going to bring whatever he's got. But to be honest, I don't think it's enough for Boots, you know what I mean? Just being honest, especially with 8-ounce gloves on." Greg Hackett shared his analysis of how he expects the fight between Brian Jr. and Ennis might unfold. He predicted a strong start from Norman, but expressed doubts about his ability to maintain that intensity throughout the fight due to the pace set by Ennis. He suggested that while Norman might display resilience initially, Ennis's ability to control the pace and increase pressure could eventually overwhelm Norman. Greg Hackett commented on the ongoing public exchanges and rumors between the teams of Brian Norman Jr. and Boots Ennis, suggesting that much of the dialogue might be more about stirring public interest than reflecting the actual status of fight negotiations. He reflected a blend of skepticism and excitement, indicating that while the true details of the fight's organization might be obscured by media narratives, the potential matchup itself is highly anticipated and eagerly awaited by fans and insiders alike.
I mean, that could all just be fish food, man. Just something for us to bite onto, because it might be done already. You know what I mean? Who knows? I hope it is. I hope that fight is made. I really don't like it though, because it gets people riled up and everybody start thinking they understand what's going on. They think they know what's going on when nobody knows what's going on. Like I said, that fight might be done, or it might be already getting scheduled for next year or something like that. We don't know. But would I like to see that fight right now? Hell yeah.
While the highly publicized potential brawl with Ennis has captured significant attention, Norman Jr.'s team has also been vocal about setting up a fight with Teofimo Lopez. Despite these calls, negotiations or official discussions to secure a bout with Lopez have not yet materialized into concrete plans. Teofimo Lopez addressed the speculation surrounding a potential fight with Brian Norman Jr., clarifying his position amidst rumors of avoidance. He emphasized that he is not avoiding Norman Jr. and has not declined any fight offers. Instead, Lopez pointed out that the rumors suggesting he's ducking the fight are based on false narratives.
Yeah, I'm not ducking him. I'm not saying no. I didn't decline a fight with him or anything like that. I'm hearing rumors already that they're spiking up about, but that's not true. It's false narratives. All I'm saying is that I would like to fight him in LA. That's all I'm asking. You know, I'm the champion. I know he's going to be elevated as a champion. However, with all due respect to him, he's not a marquee name
yet. You know what I'm saying? We are. So I believe with those type of momentums, we have a bigger leverage, or a bit of a leverage, to call what we would like overall.
Quadir Albright, who has sparred with both Jaron Boots Ennis and Brian Norman Jr., shared his insights into their comparative strengths and abilities in the ring. His comments highlighted significant differences between the two fighters, particularly in terms of strength and suitability for the welterweight class. Albright remarked, "Brian Norman is not strong enough, he's not big enough, he really is a 140-pounder. Boots is a full 147. Quadir Albright continued to differentiate between his sparring experiences with Brian Norman Jr. and Jaron Boots Ennis, emphasizing the contrast in their capabilities within the ring. Albright's observations suggest that Norman does not fully embody the characteristics of a natural welterweight fighter, especially when compared to Ennis.
147, I feel like Brian Norman, he's not a real 147. Like, when we in there sparring, I know we got on 16s and headgear, but he not a threat. Like, I could do anything I want in there with him. With Boots, you gotta be smart, because Boots could put you out in sparring with headgear and 16. So I feel like with 8s on and no headgear, and Brian Norman defense is not that. Like, he's touchable. Like, Boots, he's touchable too, but it's hard to touch him. You gotta be smart in there. With Brian Norman, Boots could do anything he wanted in there, because I was having my way in there, so.
Quadir Albright expressed his eagerness to see the fight between Brian Norman Jr. and Jaron Boots Ennis materialize, highlighting the buildup of talks surrounding the potential matchup. His comments reflect a desire to move beyond the verbal exchanges and see actual action in the ring to determine which fighter truly excels under pressure. Albright stated, "I want to see that fight just so like you can see who really standing on business. Like Brian Norman, they doing a lot of talking over there, so make the fight happen." As both sides navigate the complexities of boxing promotions and negotiations, the boxing community eagerly awaits a resolution that could set the stage for an exciting welterweight showdown. Now, do you think that out of all the contenders, Brian Norman Jr. is the best one for Boots at the moment? Do share your thoughts with us and let us know in the comment section below.